Yeah, but
I mean, pick your poison with that defense.
Time for two more.
Now, what did I do wrong?
9 to noon.
Shall we begin?
Holy Toledo!
I gotta turn this down, Bob.
Oh, well.
Coach of the Minnesota Wild to phone 9 to noon from Stockholm, Sweden. That should be happening soon. And then the boom with 9 to noon in the air will be official. Mick Jagger with a Temptations cover to begin 9 to noon. A radio show produced by Nordo. And I'm Paul Allen. Hi. Sweet darling, don't leave me. Start the show with Dino. Start the show with Dino. Part of that Timber Tech set list. What's on deck 9 to noon, indeed, does include Dean Evason, coach of the Minnesota Wild. We're going to go back to Sweden about an hour from now. Run down a couple of television types. See what's going on out Stockholm way. Bob Motzko, coach of the Golden Gophers hockey team, joins 9 to noon at 10:47. And in the final hour, culture shock or culture schlock into the KOC one-on-one replay. And that will involve some texting and some talking back. But let's jump the pond to begin 9 to noon. And here is Dean Evason, coach of the Minnesota Wild from Stockholm, Sweden. Dean, Paul Allen, good morning. What's going on there, Dino?
Hi, PA. It's good evening here, bud.
Yeah, and thank you very much for taking time to do this in advance of Ottawa and Toronto this weekend, and the time change and everything, and it's greatly appreciated by 9 to noon and the listeners. And I would imagine the golfing situation over there, I'd imagine, is pretty bleak this time of the year, right, Dino?
It's pretty chilly here, PA. Just walking around, it's cold, but there's a real chill in the air because it's very damp, obviously, right on the water here. But it's a beautiful, beautiful city, and the whole staff is enjoying our time here for sure.
Yeah, this is strange how this worm has turned, because there have been many times the last couple of years we phone you and it's like -10, and you're on one of those Vegas, Phoenix, LA, Anaheim 9-day trips, and it's like 80 degrees every day. It's going to be in the 60s here today and sunny, so it's beautiful back here and chilly there. It usually works the opposite way, Dino.
Well, thanks for reminding me, PA. You know, I'd be on the golf course on our off days. I really appreciate that, but obviously, we've got some work to do here, so I'm excited about that as well.
Right, and all business with this trip, right? I mean, it's either watching the press conferences or reading some things you and the players are saying. It's all business with this trip, right, Dino?
Yeah, you know what? It's a combination. Obviously, we haven't had the results that we want here to start the season, and as of late, and we're obviously hoping that this trip, gives us an opportunity to get back on track. Although we're in a place that the guys are able to do some touring and have some fun and get away from the game a little bit here, because we only play the 2 games in however long the week. But we know why we're here. We know where we're at. We know we have to play better in order to climb back up into where we want to be, and obviously the standings. And we're looking forward to getting that going, obviously, on Saturday afternoon. And
I mean, off that Dallas game, man, I mean, it's kind of only one way to go, and that's up. And I mean, I'm not like guaranteeing victory over Ottawa, but I mean, off that Sunday, I would imagine things will dramatically improve this weekend, right?
Yeah, that's what, the mindset has to be, right, is that that's the lowest that we're going to have this season, and we have to go up. We have to get better. We have to play harder. We have to play smarter and correctly, and all of those good things. The guys understand that. Again, it's a situation where they're as disappointed, clearly, as we all are, as fans, as managers, as coaches. They want to have success, clearly. We're looking forward to doing that. We've had a couple of practices now, one at home, one yesterday. We'll skate again tomorrow before Saturday. The guys are focused and certainly ready to go.
How much did you mess around with that penalty kill during those practice days?
Yeah, yesterday we did exclusively penalty kill. The first day back home there after the game, we concentrated on keeping the puck out of our net. That was our focus on whatever day it was after the Dallas game. We worked a lot on our neutral zone check and our defensive zone awareness. It's one thing to continually talk about scoring goals, but we scored enough to win hockey games. We got to keep the bloody thing out of our net. So that was first 5-on-5. Yesterday was a complete focus on our penalty kill. We are certainly going to change some things. It'll be a different look. But yeah, we have to keep the puck out of our net, not only 5-on-5, but definitely on the PK. And then tomorrow we'll have a little more focus on our offensive game and preparation for Ottawa.
How good are the Senators, Dean? How good is Ottawa?
Yeah, young, skilled, real dangerous team, playing very open, playing very free. They play the game hard. As we've talked about before, PA, everybody in this league is good on any given night. We've seen that, and it's a tough league to win it, and we've got to find a way to do that. Ottawa is going to be a great challenge for us. We're looking forward to it.
Here's Dean Evason, coach of the Minnesota Wild, nice enough to call 9 to noon from Stockholm, Sweden. The Wild take on Ottawa, then Toronto this weekend from Sweden. Maple Leafs, man, I mean, just deep and tough with star power. That's a very nice team, right?
Yeah, they've got a lot of elements on their hockey club, right? They've got arguably one of the best players in the game in Austin Matthews, and he's surrounded by tremendous skill. So it'll be a challenge for us, obviously, when we get to Sunday. But our focus right now is on Ottawa and certainly how the Minnesota Wild have to play in order to have success.
You think you think Kirill is set to take off here in the near future?
Well, as I mentioned, the disappointments part, he's not happy with the start that he's had to the season, and obviously we're all not happy with the start that we've had to the season. So I do believe that. I do believe that he's in a good place. I think he's mentally, and as we've all seen, he's as driven an athlete as there is in the game. Combine that with his talent level. We're expecting him to lead us, moving forward. Have
you seen anything cool in Stockholm that maybe will stick with you, like any museums or anything? Yeah, I went to a museum today called the Vasa Museum. It's a ship that's 335 years old. Mm-hmm. It's preserved because it was in the water. It's a really cool story here in Stockholm, and I'm not going to lie to you, we'll probably take in the ABBA Museum here in either this evening or tomorrow as well. What are the locals like? I mean, are they, with you guys in town and other teams, do they seem to be embracing this? Do you like see Wild sweaters throughout the streets? Well, I'll tell you what, the exciting thing for us is we walked into my wife is here, and so we took that tour this afternoon, and we walked into that Vasa Museum, and there's probably 100 or so fans, Minnesota Wild fans that are here. Apparently, there's like over 300 fans here, more than any other team that's over here to support us, and it was awesome
sitting in the lobby and being able to talk to people. We've got some corporate people here too. So we've got great support over here as we do back home with our fans and our crowd. But definitely the Swedish people are excited about this situation here and having the opportunity to host this wonderful event. And clearly with the Swedish guys on our hockey club, they're jacked about being able to not only show their teammates, but obviously their family, our hockey club and how we can play. But they get an opportunity to show their teammates the area, the city, the culture. It's nice. It's a nice feeling around our hockey club right now.
Hey, Dino, last one, and thanks for the time again, ma'am. Hey, when you guys take a trip like this, and obviously time change, and it's just a long flight. Is there anything you do with players, like when you get there, to activate the body? Like are there any the training staff or the medical staff, anything you guys do with the players to kind of get them to acclimate more quickly?
Yeah, we put a whole thing. Matt Harder's our strength and fitness coach, and he put a whole package together as far as how and what to do, obviously, on the flight over. And then once we get here, as far as sleeping and eating and drinking. And, I played with Team Canada for a year. We traveled over here to Europe, I think it's 11 or 12 times. So the one thing that you have to do is obviously regulate your sleeping. So, you try to get on the same time. But yet still with rest. That's why we're here so early. But to answer your question, yeah, as soon as we got off the plane and got to the hotel, we asked the guys to get into their gear. We went down to a room here in the hotel, and they did some calisthenic stuff and some stretching and just getting their bodies moving so that they can, start the day. I think it was like around 1 o'clock in the afternoon we got in here. So I think you were able to have a quick nap and then try to not go to bed too early, because a lot of us were up like at 4 a.m. that first day. But they put together a whole package for us to try to acclimate as quickly as we possibly can to the time change. And I think we've done that at this point, and look forward now to being regular as far as working tomorrow, practice day, and then a couple of games at 5 o'clock, and then 2 p.m. Here on Sunday.
That was awesome, my man. Tear it up this weekend, and look forward to our next chat. Okay, Dean?
Thanks. Appreciate it. PA. Thank you, bud. See
you, bud. That's Dean Evason, coach of the Minnesota Wild from Stockholm, Sweden. And our squad takes on Ottawa Saturday, then Toronto after that. Man, we need to get one in a row for Dino. One in a row for Dino.
Hell yeah.
I mean, he's in Stockholm, Sweden. It was awesome that he called. You just, we get to know these people quite well over the years, and you can kind of tell with the cadence or lack thereof in their voice if they're tired, if they're exhausted, if they need a dub. They need a dub. All right, we need one in a row for Dino. One in a row for Dino. Let's go, Dino. Hey, Timberwolves got handled last night by Phoenix, so the winning streak is over, but that doesn't mean the team's bad or anything. They ran into a buzzsaw last night on a back-to-back with Booker on the mend, and we'll discuss that later. And also the hockey bent that is becoming Thursdays, 9 to noon, continues at 10 o'clock with LaPanta and Agorg from Stockholm, and Bob Motzko, coach of the Golden Gophers hockey team, about 10:47. But around the corner, the red hot purple, and what we have next, Vikes Bites, and our A topics to exchange with each other and with the audience, each other being producer Eric Nordquist, and I'm Paul Allen. You're listening to 9 to noon at FM 100.3 KFAN. Here's Nordo with that cash thing.
The Fan, along with two men in a junk truck, they want to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword bank, and you might put $1,000 in the bank if you use the keyword bank at KFAN.com.
Donation.com.
This is The Fan.
Vikes Bites.
Welcome back, 9 to noon. And Vikes Bites is always presented by Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply. I absolutely love those guys, not only from the fact that I get all my stuff there, they sell meat there, but the rubs and sauces, the grills and smokers. I got an offset by a company called Anchor Grills. They're made out of the Mankato area. And I got that at Northern Fire. It's all about supporting local companies. Northern Fire, one of the better ones, specifically in the barbecue world, and they're right off of Shady Oak, just north of 62 in Minnetonka. NorthernFireBBQ.com. You know, Turkey Day is next week, which means brines and everything you need to make Turkey Day the best. Spatchcock! Just a suggestion. Go to Northern Fire. They'll set you right on all of that. But Vikes Bites starts here, PA. And Josh Dobbs, chatting with the media yesterday, I'm finding a steady awareness in him, and people, you know, and maybe rightfully so. Bright guy, right? Aerospace engineering, all of this. Part of that presser was devoted to him likening engineering thought processes with football and all of that. So he's a bright guy, but there's also, I think, a self-awareness in terms of his existence and his NFL life and the opportunity in front of him. Here he is yesterday.
Is there a reason, or you ever wonder why you've been in so many different places?
No, obviously, that could be a thought, but I'm just focused on my journey. You know, I think, as I just think back on my journey, obviously I was in Pittsburgh for a prolonged period of time, kind of recognized that I might need to go and search out a different opportunity in order to get on the field. And when I did that, I kind of understood that my journey might be a little unique. Like, for example, last year being in Cleveland for all 12 weeks, and then Deshaun came back and was released due to a logistic situation on the roster and not due to talent. I was like, hey, if I want to play this year, I need to go somewhere else. So teams are aware that I'm searching for an opportunity to play at the end of the season. And that ultimately got the opportunity to go to Tennessee at the end of the season, start those last two games there. Then going back to Cleveland. Cleveland placed me an opportunity to have a bigger role of going and being a day one starter in Arizona, which thus has landed me here at this stage of the season. So each stop, each opportunity, my role has grown. My opportunity to get on the field, contribute, and being a starting quarterback in the National Football League has continued to grow. And so, I recognized that about a year ago around this time, and I kind of accepted that was going to be my journey, man. And whatever opportunities thrown my way, no matter how big or small, I was going to make the most of them.
You know, you said it, PA, when he first came here, and I kind of thought about it, just, okay, career backup for the most part, does finally get extended starting opportunities, which I think is an A topic for Josh. The fact that he truly did get to play those 8 games in Arizona, that's massive for him in his career. But this truly is, and we'll see how the rest of the season goes and beyond, 2023 for Josh is really the launching pad for him having a true opportunity to command an offense. And now that he's here in Minnesota, the true opportunity to command an offense led by an actual offensive coach. He was in Cleveland with Stefanski, and he's having to deal with, is Deshaun in, is Deshaun out, what's going on there? Just Stefanski, an offensive coach, but he never got on the field. And he's had to bounce around. And again, I keep going back to that steady awareness of Dobbs. And so far through 2 and hopefully another W on Sunday night, a guy that's sinking his teeth into 2023 and his chances for reps.
The National Football League proves that it's year after year after year because of undrafted players, college free agents. It just continues to prove that dreams can be realized when anybody is put in the right situation. I mean, just look here with Josh Metellus. I mean, people could have predicted, Josh is untapped talent from a defensive standpoint and should play more, and they would have been right. But the playing more part and then the contributing at an incredibly high level and being like a key cog for one of the 5 to 7 best defenses over the last month and a half, those dreams can be realized in the NFL. John Randall would be the ultimate example. Undrafted, Texas A&M, I think Kingsville, and HOF. Same thing for Adam Thielen and Marcus Sherrills and so on and so on. Well, Josh Dobbs is next because he's been around 7 years and he had a legitimate opportunity. Well, he had an opportunity in Arizona by starting 8 games. But in the back of his head, and the A topic behind the scenes for Arizona is that Kyler's coming back. So I mean, he was a placeholder. Period. Here, there are no end of the game, end of the race scenarios that are laid out. Okay, well, Josh is going to do this. We'll see where it goes, but so-and-so is on the horizon. Like Nordo said, I mean, with an offensive-minded play-calling head coach and Super Bowl rings in these rooms with O'Connell, Phillips, O'Hara, Keenan McCardell, and so on, I mean, this part of this whole culture is resonating with Josh Dobbs, who handles things in calculated fashion.
Vikes Bites.
We'll stay with the quarterbacks briefly, a bit of tongue-in-cheek. Nick Mullins is back from IRPA. Jaron Hall progressing from the concussion. Mullins back. Jaron Hall on his way back. Ryan Wright may not have to take reps at backup QB after all.
Yeah, and having Mullins back is a good thing. That's not an affront on Jaron Hall. It's just Nick has seen more. And Jaron maybe one day will get his opportunity here, there, or somewhere else. But the Dobbs delirium has kind of buried a bunch of things simply because of how good it has been in unsuspecting fashion, because none of us, unless we're going back to the Fran the Man on the Fan days, remember quarterbacks playing like this for the Minnesota Vikings. So having Mullins back and having Mullins up to speed as a backup, that's a good thing.
I think I saw a stat that the last time a Vikings QB had rushing touchdowns in consecutive games, it was Christian Ponder. Wow. 2013.
Yeah.
The last time that a QB ran in 2 games in a row.
And see, with Dobbs, I mean, Dobbs is fast, and Dobbs shakes tackles when the Bud Duprees of the world have their arms wrapped around his leg. Ponder was a throwing quarterback who could run.
Yeah.
And there were things that Musgrave and whomever would scheme for Christian. It's not like this. I mean, because the gifts of those who play the way Dobbs plays, it involves the quick little slide, the little twitch, the little ball pump fake as you're running to try to get somebody to just stop for a second. I mean, he unfurls so many nuance-related gifts the way he runs. It's one of the most eye-opening things that I've seen in all my years calling games for this team, and I just love it.
Vikes Bites.
Dobbs is, it sounds like, going to have KJ Osborne among his targets on Sunday night. And we may get more into this during a topic exchange on the back end of the segment. But a big deal for me on Sunday night is going to be the secondary targets that Josh Dobbs will have available. And the reason I say that, Dalton Kincaid led receivers in Buffalo, 5 for 51, the tight end. Gabe Davis led him in yards with a couple of plays for 56 yards. In their win, the Broncos win, they beat the Bills, but the win prior to that over the Chiefs, Kelsey held to 58 yards on 6 catches. So it was Rashee Rice, it was Watson, MVS, Noah Gray. The secondary targets with this Patrick Surtain thing happening is going to be massive. KJ Osborne, I believe, a full participant, quote unquote, in their estimated walkthrough yesterday, which means KJ should be available and an option as a secondary target on Sunday night.
Yeah,
or maybe he's the focal point. I don't know.
You just triggered something with me that I want to do today, because I watched Monday Night Football, but I was watching it from a different way. It's like first time I've since the Packers game that I've really settled into the Denver Broncos just to see what they do.
Yeah,
I want to go back with the new fancy toy and the tricks and everything, and I want to see what they did against Diggs.
Can I look over your shoulder?
I mean, Steph can mood swing himself out of any game. Okay, so I mean that's possible. That happened too.
Yeah,
but I just it's when we get to this A-topic exchange, the way I crafted this thing, it's like I start talking about what they did against the Saints that I really loved, and I know it was part of the plan. Get the stars involved early, man. So we got here. We got Addison. We got Hawkinson. So O'Connell and staff so good in situations that they can craft plays where you have crossers in single coverage, and now Dobbs doesn't have to make some miraculous throw like he made to to Addison, who caught it on the deflection. And personally speaking, I don't think that was a great idea by Dobbs in the first place, but nevertheless, it worked. And so you get those stars involved, and then you build off that.
Yeah.
In the Bills game against Denver, I'm beginning to wonder, A, what happened to Diggs, and B, what are they going to do with Surtain? I mean, this Patrick Surtain, the second thing, I'm just very, very curious to see how they deploy Surtain with a quarterback who legitimately can run and a couple of options in Addison and Hawkinson who are on fire. I mean, he's the best tight end in the NFL right now. I'm not saying he's the best overall tight end in the NFL. He's the hottest, leads all tight ends in catches. So this is fascinating. I just wonder what happened to Diggs on Monday night. What did they do to obliterate him?
You'll watch that game, and if we're going to talk about getting stars involved early, you're going to watch that game, and there's part of you that's going, are you really going to bench James Cook for like half the freaking first half because of that fumble on the first play of the game?
That's a great point, man.
And you're going to watch, and ultimately, they scored a touchdown late in that game to take the lead before the game-winning drive by the Broncos.
That's a really good
which
point.
They didn't throw a pass.
You know why?
You'll watch some frustrating moments, I think, from McDermott and the Bills in that game.
What makes that a really good point in my estimation, and I hadn't thought about this all week, is the Bills fire their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, all right, after the game. Well, it's not Dorsey's. Dorsey is not going to get into the microphone and say, Sean McDermott, because Cook just fumbled and that's a problem, if you don't bench him, we're making a mistake. So I'm sure there was some kind of conversation, but that's McDermott's decision. When you make that decision, it rattles things because now you got Dorsey, you got running backs coach guy, and you got offensive line coach guy who have put an entire weekend of a plan for James Cook. And all right, James, not as good as his brother at this stage of his career. But secondly, he has some juice. I mean, he's fast. Latavius Murray ain't fast. I mean, Latavius, he ain't fast. I mean, he knows how to play the game, but he ain't fast. So, I mean, that changes things dramatically when you make a move like that. But I wonder, for a team like the Buffalo Bills that can be so fragile with the way they handle moods and things like that, mood swings. I mean, you talk about antithetical to O'Connell and staff here and the calm and the panic-free nature to find a way to handle really the highest level of in-game conflict you can handle. A quarterback here for 4 days, having no idea what's going on, and then getting out there and winning. On the other side of that would be the Buffalo Bills. Well, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just envisioning or imagining that they just freak out when things like this happen. It's like, bleep it. We're benching Cook. We're going with Latavius. Latavius, who pulls a sled, with all due respect, and that just changes everything, and it changes things on the sideline too. That was a really good point.
Vikes Bites.
Brought to you by Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply, right here in town in Minnetonka.
Hey.
Your obligatory Justin Jefferson update from KOC.
We're kind of in that day-to-day, kind of ramping him up phase now. We'll determine, if it's possible at all to have him for this weekend. We'll determine that and kind of take it one day at a time with that, and then assess it with the doctors and Tyler and Uriah. And I can tell you he can't wait to get back on, and he's doing everything in his power to do that.
So my vibe on that, I had read a report. I saw someone report, and I forget the name, so I apologize for not offering that credit. But
what happened?
That he had been doing sprints with zero issue, that he's been running around, no leg pain or hamstring-related tightness whatsoever, but he's still working on cutting and running full-speed routes and some of those aspects of his game. So remaining pain-free and tightness-free is the key. Based on their estimated injury report, he does remain limited. But Justin Jefferson, it sounds like my vibe from that quote from KOC is like, he wants to play. We just got to make sure you're 100% before anything happens with Justin Jefferson.
Right. And again, the outdoor factor, that we've discussed, and the weather factor with with a hamstring.
60 with a chance of rain.
Well, that's legitimate because it's 60s in the day, but Colorado goes.
Sun goes down.
Yeah, right. And gangs definitely get bigger when it comes to bundling up and staying warm because that thing goes from 60 down to like low 40s, and it's lickety split too. So it's going to be colder this evening or that evening than I think people realize. So I'm still in the camp where, I think either the Monday night game against the Bears, or depending on how the Broncos game goes. Maybe after the bye, then you're completely squared away, as on Saturday night. We sit 4 rows. Saturday night before the Vegas game, we sit 4 rows behind the Wolves bench.
Oh, my God.
And watch them play somebody in the in-season tournament championship game. Yeah, I mean, seriously, if that wasn't an in-season bid last night, right?
I don't believe so.
No, I think it's Tuesdays and Fridays. Well, we're undefeated and plan to stay that way this weekend. And then Sunday, play the Raiders with the return of JJ.
Whew.
I mean, it's getting good right now, isn't it, Vikon?
Vikes Bites.
Last thing for you here. If Madison can't play, are you workhorsing Ty Chandler? Does Kenny Wanwu, who's been, just so seldomly used,
right,
out of necessity, he got 2 carries in this most recent game. But right, is this a workhorse situation for Ty Chandler if Madison remains on concussion protocol?
Charge with the Friday Football Feast Buffalo Wild Wings Blaine last week. He brought up a really good point, a percentage point that I had no idea existed. It's players who incur concussions on a Sunday or a Monday. 92% of the time they are not active the next week.
Right.
Well, so therefore, and Jaron Hall fell into that category. So and so did KJ too, to a certain extent. But nevertheless, that's a wonderful question. I don't believe you can workhorse Ty Chandler. I just don't believe at this stage of his maturation because he's slighter of frame.
Yeah.
Then with Wanwu, I just really don't know how much you can give him. With Ty and Kene, the running between the tackles part, we just
haven't seen it at a high level.
I don't think we've seen any from Kene, and maybe just a little from Ty Chandler.
But no one's talking about. Dwayne McBride is sitting there going, "Can I?"
Yeah.
And then you have Myles Gaskin.
And so is Zach Halverson. I'm playing. Hey, I'm playing. Stop spilling food on my keyboard at my desk. Hey. What about inside runs with C.J. Ham between the tackles under the cover of darkness? They'll never see it coming, C.J. Ham. That's right. That's a great question, but we need to change our faces. We've said this now for a week and change. When discussing the running game, it starts with Dobbs.
It does.
And then from there, no, there will not be a workhorse back for the Minnesota Vikings the rest of the season or in the postseason.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying?
Well, through 2 games, he's 110 yards rushing with the Vikings. He had 2 and change through 8 games with the Cardinals. So through 2, part of that's learning experience, getting up to speed in the playbook.
Yeah. But in Arizona, he was running for his life. It's different.
That's correct. Making plays and scoring touchdowns here in Minnesota and not fumbling. That's not bad. So the run game by committee, piece by piece, brick by brick. The Vikings get to hopefully 6 straight.
A topic exchange.
Josh sure dropped it 3 times in Atlanta, though, didn't he?
He did.
Just for old time's sake, like Jonathan Gannon, Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator for the Cardinals, watching the game. Just so just in case you guys forgot who I was, I can do this. Which involves missing a wide open T.J. Hawkinson in the end zone, but I'm gonna make up for it and run in from 18. And by the way, I'm gonna drop it a couple of times too, just so you guys can see I'm still the same guy. But he fixed that in the Saints game, and that's super key.
Thanks to Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply, Vikes Bites on a daily basis, transitioning to
a topic exchange.
Here they come.
And you know what? I am just going to start right there where we left off. Keep the ball in your hands.
Dobbs on a deep drop, protected, okay. Now he scoots away from the pressure, and he looks to throw the ball, and it came out, and it's picked up by Lorenzo Carter inside the 10 to the 5, stopped at the 3-yard line. So the Vikings have lost another fumble. The Vikings now have lost 11 fumbles this year.
The field was a fumble recovered by the defense.
Damn it.
Down, Atlanta.
I'm looking forward to starting a different kind of streak. Winning 6 games in a row is cool, but part of that is going to be this brand new streak, PA, and game 1 was last week against the Saints. The Minnesota Vikings did not have a turnover.
Oh my God.
The first game all season.
Yeah.
So at one point we were just hoping they'd get through the opening drive without a turnover. Now we've advanced so far as to say they can play an entire clean 60 minutes of football. I'm looking forward to them starting a new streak. If they do that on Sunday night, they win their 6th straight, and they are 7-4.
And my A topic is it involves a twist. And the first part of the twist is getting your studs going on national television like Addison and this guy.
Dobbs takes the snap out of the shotgun, straight drop, throws to the end zone, and touchdown! A 28-yard touchdown to T.J. Hawkinson. Wow. And Dobbs has beaten them by land, and he just beat them by air, 23-3 Minnesota.
Standalone games can work on the minds of those playing. And because, like, for TJ, they all hear you're hot, no matter the quarterback, just dragging Rubes up and down the terrain like Mark Bavaro. If Denver is like, that's enough, no TJ, and doubles him, well, then Addison might draw Surtain the second, being like, we're going to double him. We're going to put the third-year kid on the rookie, and that's going to obliterate him. And that plays into what Nordo said about 15 minutes ago about the ancillary pieces absolutely having to be ready. So if that's the case, Broncos anti-Vikes like, the lanky tight end ain't beating us. And either is the rookie. We got Surtain the second on him. Here comes Brandon Powell. Steal the show, littlest guy on the field, coming up big on national television. Brandon Powell had it, yeah.
A topic exchange.
My final bit involves third downs on both sides.
On second down, Love with an empty backfield. He's about to be hit, and he is sacked.
According to everybody involved.
DJ won him. DJ wanted him, and DJ got him. He now has 3 sacks this season. It's 3rd and 17.
3rd and longs. This is a run-based offense we're going to see on Sunday night, struggling with explosive plays, putting them in 3rd and longs, asking them to protect Russ for an extra second. He's been brought down 30 times this year, 10 times in the last 2 games. So on offense, 3rd downs for them. On offense, 3rd downs for us.
And Dobbs puts Addison in motion very late on 3rd down, takes the snap. He's still in the pocket. Now Josh steps up. He bends the knees, gets away from Hussein. He's going to throw to Hawkinson, 1st down at the 16 near side. TJ dragging them inside the 5. It's the old Mark Bavaro trick, and he did it again.
That would have worked for last A topic with PAs as well. And that's the key. 3rd down offense was a big part of the Vikings taking time of possession and winning games. It's fallen off a bit, just a few percentage points since Dobbs took over. Moving the chains is massive. The Broncos held the Bills to 3 of 8 on 3rd down. The Chiefs, 3 of 10. So 3rd downs, handling business on both sides of the ball. The Vikings improved to 7-4.
We head out Colorado way, just outside of the Mile Get High City, and we chat with the Vox of all Voxes ever to Vox about Vikings and Broncos when 9 to noon continues on KFAN.
PA on the Fan.
Seventh year, coming home to a place he'd never been before.
The Vox of all Voxes ever to Vox, Alan Roach. What's going on, my brother? Things good out there?
T-minus 81 hours till Pastronaut to the stars for 6 in a row and counting.
Wow, that sounds that sounds like, and boom, Minnesota Vikings football is in the air. There's the 900 touchback this season. Then as Dobbs walks on the field, say something like that, because everybody's all juiced and excited about Josh Dobbs and Alan Roach at Mile High Roach via Twitter, voice of U.S. Bank Stadium, Super Bowls, international games, the Avalanche, and so on and so on. He's the Vox of all Voxes ever to Vox, so bend the knee, everybody. They're feeling pretty good about those Broncs out there, man, and the anti-Vike. Aren't they just like, especially with Dion's team falling off a little bit? I mean, they're high on these Broncs right now out there, aren't they?
Yeah, it's funny. We talked 2 months ago, and no one even knew there was a Bronco game, and now it's just the opposite. It's brush Coach Prime under the rug and maybe send him off to Texas A&M, and now it's all about the Broncos. The Vikings' timing could not be any worse. You remember Super Bowl 50 when what's the guy with the Bills, the defensive end, who a Hall of Famer, going to be with the Broncos? Why can't I think of his name?
Von Miller.
When Von Miller destroyed Cam Newton in Super Bowl 50 and the Broncos won a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. This is the worst time since that moment to play the Denver Broncos. Wow. They've had their 2 biggest wins in 8 years, back-to-back, having beaten Kansas City and ending an 18-in-a-row losing streak to the Chiefs. Can you imagine that? 18 in a row. Well, they broke that 2 weeks ago, and then I guess you call it a win in Buffalo on Monday night. This team all of a sudden is believing in the anti-Vike.
With the Colorado Buffaloes, Dion rips his staff and rips his players after some losses in a way I've never heard in my life. And maybe he can pull that off and have it work long term, but how about that thing with Folsom Field and just the Boulder? And I mean, how about how much that thing flipped in like a month? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and he's taken some heat in the media, and the most recent heat is that he is not downplaying or slamming the door on the whole Texas A&M talk. He kind of did a little bit more on a local coaches show here, saying, no, it's not true. What you're hearing about Texas A&M is not true, but he hasn't come out and said, that it's absolutely not happening. And he did mention also that other coaches around the league are using this against Coach Prime now. They're going to all these top recruits that are interested in playing for Coach Prime, and they're going there and saying, why would you go there? He's not even going to be there next year.
Wow. Hey, Alan, what voiceover bits are you doing today?
You wouldn't think that the voiceover industry is as secretive as it might be, but I can kind of tell you, but I can't tell you.
Oh.
There is a radio station in our southern United States that is going to change format in about 10 days.
Ooh.
And so I'm doing a whole startup package of liners.
Hey.
You're listening to the boss.
Oh, that's nice.
And then also a software company that is coming out with some sort of new software thing, and I'm helping them with a introductory video.
You got anything in front of you where you can practice for us so that maybe it's kept secretive, or is it too secretive, or can you practice for us, please?
It's called the non-disclosure agreement.
Which means you can't.
I can't say a word.
Understood. And with voiceover work like this, I mean, your life to a certain extent is predicated on what's known as mailbox money from all over the place, man. And I think that's just awesome. Do you think that's great, or it's not that great because when the 1099 hits, it's just a complete buzzkill?
Well, I have a good tax guy who has taught me how to ride the edges, and I do ride the edges, and I've been audited, and I've passed those audits riding the edges.
Hey.
But when February rolls around and you have 23 1099s, it's a bit overwhelming.
How much do you love Josh Dobbs?
Unbelievable story, huh? And everybody, it's just human nature, everybody waiting for the next shoe to drop or the clock to strike midnight, whatever. But look at, some of the other players that have been in his position. Most recently, Brock Purdy with San Francisco. Everybody waited last year for that to end, and kind of still waiting today, and it's not really happened. It's a great story. He's a great kid. He can continue on with the production that he has in the last 2 weeks and winning football games. The sky is the limit for this guy. And why do you have to become a superstar immediately upon entering the league? Why can't you be in the league for 7 years with 7 teams or whatever it is and then find your opportunity and become a star. And he's making his way as that right now.
Now, Alan Roach, Vox of all Voxes ever to Vox, at Mile High Roach via Twitter. Time for two more. Kirk Cousins joins 9 to noon tomorrow at 11:35. Charch may be driven to tears. Cousins absolutely can be the quarterback here next year. I mean, I'm not predicting it's going to happen, but he absolutely still can, right?
Well, that's the questions I get from, the man on the street, or when I'm walking around and see somebody, hey, what are the Vikings going to do at quarterback? Does this mean Kirk Cousins is gone? It's flip-flopped so many times this year with, the horrible start, and then into the incredible numbers of Kirk Cousins, then into the injury. I honestly don't know. I listen to the fan to hear your thoughts so that I can develop my own thoughts. I honestly have no idea what you do in this situation. I do know that it's going to be difficult for a team to put all of their eggs in the Kirk Cousins basket, a 36, 7-year-old quarterback with a torn Achilles who's probably not going to be able to practice until July.
I'm very, and I would imagine you would be too, very interested to see how the coaches, Dobbs, and Jefferson attack through this adrenaline rush. I mean, I ain't going to predict it's going to happen Sunday night, but when these coaches, Dobbs and Jefferson, get together with everything they've done and what they have, that could be quite fascinating, Vox.
Who do you think has more anticipation? Josh Dobbs to get JJ on the field, or JJ to get on the field to get in on what Josh Dobbs is doing?
That's a great question. I'd say JJ kicking down the barn door, wanting to get out there and run. And I'd say Jefferson, so the plan can start with enough time walking up to the postseason to perfect said plan with a quarterback we all of a sudden have a quarterback who can run, and it legitimately is a thing. He's really good at it. So then, how are they going to cover Justin? Okay, they double him. Cool. What are you going to do with Hawkinson? And then Addison. I just can't wait till that all comes together to see what this high-end offensive coaching staff gets done with that thing, Box.
Yeah, KOC has certainly shown that he has the ability to play the cards that he's dealt and play at a very high level. Hence all of the Coach of the Year talk. There's a long ways to go, a lot of football to be played between now and then. But, yeah, KOC is certainly showing his abilities.
My brother, I will see you this weekend, and certainly Sunday at the game. Thank you very much for the time, Mr. Alan Roach.
Skol Vikes from Mile High.
Thank you, brother. Alan Roach, Vox of all Voxes ever to Vox, at Mile High Roach via Twitter. Back to hockey and the hockey bent that's becoming Thursdays. We skipped the pond again over to Stockholm to chat with Anthony LaPanta and Kevin Gorg about the Minnesota Wild in Stockholm, Sweden on